Well, let's get across the market opening now. Jonathan Takadina joining us from MPC Markets. Jonathan, good to catch up with you to start a new week. It's still all about the US election,
Yes.
as we just over a week away, of course, but also some key US earnings this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think about 4 of the Mag 7 are reporting this week. And if you just go off what has actually happened so far, is that it looks like they're just going to keep rallying into this. So Netflix was one that reported earlier, had some great price action and moved on higher. And Tesla was the big one last week as well. So that's looking like it's busting out to fresh New Year highs as well. So if you go off that, I think that these Mag 7 should continue to rally as well. And interestingly, well, it was just a discussion in the office. So usually the rising bond yields would be a bit of a cautionary tale on the markets here, but the markets rallied regardless. And what just the theory is that the Mag 7 are sitting on, I think, 600 billion in cash just on their own. So, just rising bond yields just helps their balance sheet out even further. So it's quite strong balance sheets being strengthened further by these rising bond yields.
Yeah, look, we could see a couple of those, like Apple and Meta also reporting this week. In fact, Nvidia, once again, briefly overtaking Apple as the world's largest company.
Yeah, so Nvidia's due out, I think, in a week's time. So they're not in this week, but I think Apple could be the one that might disappoint. Because obviously they're more product related in terms of their iPhone sales, whereas the others are basically just be AI that powers them ahead and head on higher.
Now, also a bit of data coming to us as well, Key. We've got a read on September quarter GDP out of the States midweek. End of the week, really important, the non-farm payroll jobs.
That's right.
So, which may well determine exactly what the Fed does at the next meeting.
Yeah, exactly. So the last couple of non-farms, so not the previous one, but the 2 previous, actually preceded a bit of a fall in the markets. I think, and what the market kind of just has brushed over is that there's been a lot of revisions as well to that data. So it's a very noisy data set on its own, but the market just tends to rely on that. I just think in general, it looks like the Mag 7 being 35% of the S&P, so quite concentrated. If they do well this week, then the market will just brush over whatever the jobs numbers are and continue to rally higher.
All right, but when we focus on the election, that uncertainty, if you read the non-partisan polls, it is incredibly tight.
Yeah,
it's anyone's race at the moment, but markets seem to be betting on a Trump win still.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at so I tend to follow the Betfair markets. I think there's a Poly Markets one as well, which tends to go on the Bloomberg feeds that people are following. And Trump's a solid short price favourite in that regard. He's $1.60. Kamala's around the 230 mark based off that. And what you've seen is that the market's actually rallied in the anticipation of a Trump win. So what you've seen is energy companies doing well, financials doing well. So it looks like the market's pricing that in. Obviously, it's been a circus so far. What the market would just generally like is that either party just takes over in a nice short decision. Like if it gets drawn out and there's like court cases or protests and things like that, then that's when the market will be like, okay, what's going on here? But just in general, if there's a quick decision either way, I think the market rallies based off that. And the main difference is that as an example, if Trump wins, like energy companies do well, Kamala wins, it'll be the opposite. So just in general, the markets will do well off either party winning. But it's just, when you look under the hood, you have to invest in different sectors based on who wins.
You've been following and tracking gold and you're invested in it too. How do you see that performing at the moment, particularly as we get closer to the election?
Yeah, so just in general, they had the BRICS summit finished off late last week as well. I thought the market would just be, gold would be quite bid into that. There wasn't anything defining that came out of the BRICS summit, but just in general, while we're here, if either party wins, they're both going to spend more, and that's going to help gold out. So I'm still invested in gold. I had the original target of 2,800. We still haven't hit that yet, and I think we just power on towards that level. And I think some people are calling for 3,000 as well. So I just think stay long, stay invested. My best pick out of that would be Newmont at the moment. It's had a massive
Yeah, that was a massive fall.
Yeah,
It's up 12% on Friday.
Exactly. So that's been a massive fall. I would let just like WiseTech or Minres, let the dust settle a little bit. But just in general, they're printing cash. Obviously, their cost might have blown out a little behind, which is why they pulled back. But they're producing gold, and they're sitting on tier one assets. So that will be a buy opportunity fairly soon.
Now, you mentioned a couple of stocks there that remain in focus, WiseTech and Mineral Resources, because of trouble at the top there. Perhaps we've seen that sorted as far as WiseTech is concerned. Therefore, we saw that huge bounce.
That's right.
In its share price. Do you think there's more dust to settle in regards to WiseTech?
Oh, that's a tough one because it's been almost like a soap opera in that regard. So,
but just in terms of where that share price has gone to.
Well, that bounce on Friday was a little bit sus for me. Like it opened at 121, then got hit back down to 113. My initial target around that 100 is a nice psychological support. So I think if it gets tested around that $100 level, I will look to buy in. But I would like just to, let's get them out of the headlines for a week or so before I'd like to buy in.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, similarly with Minres, although there's certainly no resolution there, and it's just compounding the broader issues the company is having, particularly with its exposure to lithium.
Mm-hmm. So that's the same situation. I think that one could drag it a lot further. Obviously, with the WiseTech, it might have just ended up with that scandal and the CEO stepping down. I don't think the CEO stepping down will help Minres in this case because we're talking about the ATO here, and they would want to have a nice a little victory flag there as well. So if there's smoke there and they find it, I would say that they will be in a bit of trouble.
So more broadly, what are you seeing on the Australian market then? I mean, you're obviously fairly bullish about what out of the States. A lot of that's going to be driven by what we're seeing with mega cap earnings. Mm-hmm. Is that sentiment going to flow locally?
Unfortunately, it will. But just like always, we'll kind of lag in terms of performance versus the US. So I think the US is very concentrated at the moment in the Mag 7. They're at 35% of the index. So I think they push on. And the rest of the market kind of just drags on, which is kind of what the Australian market will do. Well, I think we'll head on higher and still test new highs into the year's end, but it will take a little bit long. It'll take its Australian pace towards that.